everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So continuing to work on Goron Link today. So I want to start off by thanking everybody for your comments and such. Condolences on the loss of our pet. Yeah, it's appreciated. Yeah, she's much missed. The living room looks very empty now without her in it. Yeah. Well, that's not going to thread properly, I can see, until I trim it. Yeah. I miss her purrs, that's for sure. She is such a sweetie sometimes when she'd be on the floor for some playtime, and she'd come up to me and put her head on her chin on my knee and purr, like to say I love you. Yeah, so sweet. So yeah, like I said, she was a rescue when we got her. She was very thin. When you pet her, you could feel all her ribs, poor thing. And she ate absolutely everything we gave her. She was starving. And then after we had her for a couple of months, then she started getting picky. She didn't really like parsley. She'd eat it for like one day, but if you tried to give it to her 2 days in a row, she wouldn't touch it. So that's how we knew that she was feeling more secure in her food supply. Yeah, and she didn't purr for like the first month that we had her, so it was very special when she started feeling safe enough around us to purr. So yeah, she's much missed. So yeah, lots of blues here, but I think we're going to get into some browns as well. It's more blue and purple where he's shadowed away from the light, and then closer to the light we're going to see more browns and grays like we saw with his face was similar. More purple on his right side of his face, left to us. Yeah, like I said, when I first started stitching this, the faces being so purple had me a little nervous, but I persevered. I trusted the pattern, and yes, it did work out. When you step back now with more of it done, you can really see how the light is from the fairy. The artist who made this picture definitely understood how shadows and such work. Yeah, so it looks like my son's birthday present is going to be delivered today. His big Isabel stuffy. That's what he wanted. Yeah, he's like me. I like picking out my own gift. Then I can get exactly what I need. I prefer not to have too much clutter in my house, so I prefer to actually pick things I know I'm going to use. One year, for my Christmas gift, I got myself a whole bunch of embroidery floss. Oh, goodness. Where did that needle go? Oh boy. Hopefully I won't poke myself with it. I think it might have gone. Ah, here it is. Good. Got caught by my grime guard. Good. I was afraid it had fallen into my lap, and then you shift around the wrong place, you're gonna poke yourself, which you don't really want. Yeah, I once sat on my knitting, and thankfully I bent the needle. It didn't poke into me because that would have really sucked. But yeah. Oh, it was a big, long circular needle that I used for knitting blankets. 60-inch needle, and it was in Aida Turbo, which is like the top brand. I believe it's made in Germany, but so yeah, I was not happy with myself. But then I discovered because I bent the left hand the way it was in my knitting, so I discovered if I flipped it the other way and put it, or it was my right hand maybe, but anyway, I discovered if I flipped it a certain way, the way that it was bent fit into my hand properly, that I could actually still knit with it and didn't feel too weird. Yes, I had to put it in my left hand, that's right, not my right hand, because my right hand is I'm right-handed, so that's the working needle. The left hand is really the one that you're just pulling the stitches off of, so yeah. Yeah, I was quite annoyed with myself. Ooh. Yeah, I have several very big circular needles because some of the blankets I knit have so many stitches. So like there's a sunburst that I made. So it starts from the center out with 10 stitches, and then it increases like 20 stitches every 4 rounds. So, you know, very quickly, it's like compound interest, right? It keeps building on itself. But so by the end, you're often left with over 1,000 stitches per round or even more. So yeah, you end up needing a lot of holes, or a lot of needles to hold it, I should say, yeah. Okay. So this diagonal, as you could see, kind of ended up not so diagonal. We're going to start filling it in here. Yeah. So there's some bigger blocks of color here, so this, we may get more done in this session. Okay, so there's that one. Just gonna check the one below. Okay, that's fairly decent length too. All right. Help me decide what I'm gonna do with it. Yeah, so on a good stitching day with this, I can get 1% done like per day, because that's 480 stitches, so that's doable. Yeah, it's all relative, because on my Firefly, 1% is, you know, over 5,500 stitches, so. Yeah, I think we're working on the beads of Goron Link's necklace here. Okay, so I don't usually cross as I go, but in this case I will, because I want the thread to end up on the opposite side that I started from, on the right hand side. So my back won't look perfectly consistent, but that's okay. The way I finished my my pieces, they're mounted on fabric, so nobody will be able to see the back anyway when it's totally done. I actually don't mind showing my backs though. I always say they're not the neatest. I've seen people with neater ones, but they're not the worst either. Now, I care most about what the front looks like. Yeah, there was someone saying, you know, I wonder how many people got turned off of the hobby by being told your back should look as pretty as the front. And that's a tall order for most people. Some people I've seen manage to have absolutely immaculate backs, but yeah, I am not that good. Yeah, there was one stitcher in the Facebook Heaven and Earth Designs group who did continental tent stitch and showed side by side of the front and back, and they just looked like mirror images of each other. It was just jaw-droppingly amazing work. Like I said, it almost seemed a shame to frame it and cover up that back because it was so well done. But yeah, I do not have the patience or the talent for that. Oh, I actually parked that. Not quite where I marked it. That number 1 stitch. I'll just fix that now. I can see I parked it here and I marked it as being parked there. Not parked there. Remove that parking mark there. Just so I don't mix myself up later. Okay, so larger block of color here. This very bright electric blue. Yeah, so I go for another acupuncture treatment tomorrow, but it definitely has helped. So, I mean, I'm not cured, but it has definitely alleviated a lot of the discomfort. Yeah, because like I said, mine is a chronic issue I've had since I was a kid, so I didn't really expect it to fix everything. It's like I said, back to normal. Well, my baseline is yeah, not perfect, but because yeah, my husband had it after a back injury, and it basically put him back to normal. But yeah, I said, well, my normal has always been a bit of pain, so. But it's better, so yeah, I'm happy with that. So it's my last scheduled one, and then we'll discuss if she wants me to keep coming in for, you know, kind of maintenance. We'll see. Yeah, like I'm thinking maybe once a month or something. Insurance only covers a certain amount, so. Yeah, that has helped in my traction pillow. My husband calls it the tongue because it does kind of look like a tongue shape. Just use it for a couple of minutes twice a day, and it just kind of helps put the natural curve back in your neck instead of being bent over. And yeah, I was recommended to roll up a towel and put it under my neck and lie on it, but this is a little firmer and I find it helps. And it's got little almost like round knobs on it a bit, so it kind of gives your muscles a bit of a massage too. So yeah, it's definitely helped a bit. Okay, so do these ones here, and then I'll start a new thread over at the right hand side. Super bright color, but I'll pin stitch it here because I know that these stitches are going to be in the same color, so I won't have to worry about it showing through. Okay. Yeah, thinking I may make homemade pizza today. Yeah, make my own pizza dough with my stand mixer. I usually make a bigger batch and then I freeze part of it, so yeah, you just sort of take it out the night before and put it in your fridge, and then by dinner time it's ready to use. Yeah, been making bread for years. During 2020, sort of everybody started doing it, but I was like, well, I was doing it before it was cool. Yeah. Well, there's just something about fresh baked bread still warm from the oven. Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of my favorite things. Okay, all right, let's see. I think this means, yeah, I'm gonna have to do one stitch out of order. This one here. Yeah, because of the way this color is above and below those circle, I call them hamburger stitches in my mind, because that is kind of what they look like. So yeah, every now and then. I'll go out of order. That just happens sometimes. Yeah, and then it's funny because when I make homemade pizza, you know, my husband and I have, you know, meat and peppers and mushrooms and all this stuff, and then my kid just wants cheese. Yeah, plain sauce, you know, with sauce and cheese, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah, he's not big on foods mixed together. He's slowly starting to branch out into that, but yeah, he's always, it was a while to get him to eat spaghetti with the noodles and the sauce. He would often want the noodles plain and then some sauce on the side. Although he did, it's funny because he's not a big meat fan, so I made it as meatballs so that it would be, you know, easy for him to avoid it if he didn't want to eat the meat. And then he tried one and he actually liked it. So, yeah. Yeah, or textures is a big thing for him. I made soup with all vegetables I knew he liked in it, but he didn't want to eat it because he said it was too mushy. So, but he'll happily have the broth and the noodles separate and veggies if they're raw. So, yeah. He likes them to be crunchy. There, so filled in that gap now. Okay. So I just parted at the end of that run instead of on the left-hand side because I'm going to do these stitches, go back, and then carry it up over to the right. So either way, I would have used probably about the same amount of floss. If I parked it on this side and sort of crossed as I go, yeah, it would end up being about the same. So that's why I chose to do that, in case anyone was curious. So I filled in pretty much this grid line here, the diagonal line. So I'm probably gonna go over to this next diagonal line there and then carry on downwards is what I'm gonna do. So like I've said, I don't go row by row, and sometimes I work top down, sometimes I work bottom up. It just depends on how the colors go and what seems to sort of make the most sense to me at the time. There we go. This thread's going to kind of travel around a bit. So I'm going to do the parts I've highlighted, then it's going to go up, do those, and then do the ones down below kind of thing. So yeah, sometimes take rather meandering paths around with my threads. You can, of course, do it however you like. Whatever works for you. Yeah, it was funny saying my kiddo likes to be Isabelle in the Mario Kart because he absolutely loves Yoshi too. So I was surprised he didn't want to be Yoshi. He has several Yoshi stuffed animals. Yeah, he's got, well, first he had a yellow one because we couldn't find a green one because they said they get all different colors. And of course, everybody wants green, right? So I said, yeah, they should make the shipments sort of half green and then half other colors. But No, they sort of like if they send, you know, it'll have like 3 green, 3 yellow, 3 pink, you know, kind of thing. So the greens always go right away. So he called yellow Yoshi, and then a year later he managed to find a green one, which he named Greenie. So I kind of bug him and sometimes call yellow Yoshi Yellowy, Greenie and Yellowy. Yeah. And then he got a pink one. So yeah, this little Yoshi family keeps growing. And he totally used to play Yoshi on Mario Kart. That was the character he loved picking. But then he started playing Animal Crossing, and so now he always wants to be Isabelle. So that's pretty cute. I like to pick Toad because he's quick and maneuverable. Yeah, my husband actually helped me on when we play Mario Kart. He helped me design a little motorbike for Toad. So that yeah, so that's what I play as. And my husband picks the blue Yoshi. And then it's funny because if he comes in last, the little Yoshi starts crying. I remember playing the old N64 Mario Kart, and they would have that one power up where if someone hit it, they could run over the other characters and flatten them if they were smaller. And I was playing as Mario one time, and that power up went off, and Luigi ran over me, and we both got flattened. I was like, geez, thanks a lot, dude, you know. And you sort of have to wait because it would, like, you know, go like a sheet of paper sort of back and forth before it would finally settle, and you'd have to wait, and then it would pop back up, and then you could drive again. But of course, you know, you lost a good like 20 seconds by then, which of course in Mario Kart means you're probably dead last at that point. Yeah. Okay, so just did these because they're a little closer, and then I'm going to do this top bit here. So yeah, sometimes I sort of split up the block of color just to make my thread use more efficient. Yeah, what I found harder for racing was in Ocarina of Time, when you have to try to get Epona when you're an adult, and you have to beat the what's his name? Ingo? Yeah, at the ranch. You have to beat him twice. He says he'll do it the first time, and then he says, oh, you have to win again, so you have to do 2 in a row. And then after that, he tries to cheat you out of it and says, okay, fine, I'll give the horse to you, but I won't let you leave this ranch. And then you have to jump over the wall. But yeah, it was funny because my husband didn't know that you can use the horse to jump across the broken bridge in the Gerudo Valley, because you have to wait otherwise until you get the long hook shot to get across. And then yeah, I once jumped you come galloping at it, and she'll jump over the broken bridge, and I did that, and my husband's like, I didn't know you could do that. I said, well, I just thought I'd try it, you know. I figured if she didn't want to, she'd balk at the edge of the cliff and he would fall in the water, but no, she does it. Okay, so we're going to extend past the diagonal line a bit here, which is fine. That often happens. Yeah, we didn't know we now play the Mario Kart 8 on the Switch, and didn't know you could actually drift in the corners, and when you do, you pick up speed. Yeah, Our son figured that out because, of course, right? But the only problem is it's harder to control. So yeah, you do get a speed boost, but I mean, if you can't control it, you're going to just go flying off to the side of the track, and that won't help you very much. Yeah. Yeah, of course, our kiddo beats us most of the time, wins at Mario Kart. Well, he's also on the esports team at school, so he has more practice than we do. Yeah, like 3 afternoons a week after school, they practice. Oops. Sometimes against each other, and then sometimes they play against other schools' teams, because of course with the Switch you can connect online, so that's fun. Yeah, we did that during lockdown. We had some friends who also have a Switch, so we played Luigi's Mansion together, and Mario Kart. It was fun. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go over here a bit. I'm actually gonna just check that thread. Yeah, okay, so just planning ahead here what I'm gonna do. So first I'm gonna, let's see how long this one is. Okay, I may do another one out of order here. We'll see. Although that's not really long, so probably not. Okay, let's see what I've got for leftover bits here. Not much. Okay, and let's see about this one. Occasionally, needle just comes off when you're pulling it out. That's okay. Okay, that's not really long either. Okay, so I think I will use a few of my shorter pieces up here instead of creating more. It's funny, I enjoy playing Mario Kart because I found the side quests in Legend of Zelda where you had to race people. I always found those so frustrating. Like in Majora's Mask, you have to win a race with the Gorons to get an empty bottle, well, a bottle with gold dust in it. Yeah, and it's so irritating because every now and then you would get stuck on, with his spikes, you get like stuck on one of the trees in the track, and then you just sort of spinning there in place, and then means you have to stop, and then that means you have to build up momentum again to get the spikes to come out. It was so frustrating. And of course you're on a time limit, right? Because you only get a 3-day cycle, right? Yeah. And to get the upgraded sword, you need to get the gold dust, I think, on the first day. Yes, because the first overnight you can get your sword upgraded to a sharpened edge, but it will only work for 100 hits and then it will lose its edge. And then on the second night, if you have the gold, then he can make you an upgraded sword that never loses its edge. And then you get it on the morning of the third day, and then that's it. So if you don't get the gold dust early enough before the night of the second day, you can't get the upgraded sword. You'll have to, reset the whole cycle and start over again. So, yeah. So that was always annoyed me. Or there's one of the bottle quests in Majora's Mask, if you have to swim through the rings as Zora Link and win against the beavers. And again, you're on a time limit, and yeah, and one annoying thing too is if you're in the middle of the race and it switches over to like a new day or dawn or night, the camera will zoom out and say, you know, night of the first day or whatever, and then you lose your first person camera, and so then it messes you up. So yeah, it's really frustrating. Yeah, it took me many, many, many tries to get the one against the beavers at the dam. Yes, I'm going to carry that over there because I know that this other thread is only long enough for that row. Yeah, I remember that from previously, so. Yeah, my threads can travel many different ways depending. Depending what direction they're coming from, where they're parked. Yeah. How long they are is often a big factor. Yeah, well, the hardest quest, I think, in this game was the wedding one with Anjou from the inn and Kafi. Yeah, that was. And even when you do get it, if you show the wedding mask to the mask salesman, he kind of laughs and says, "Oh, you went to a lot of trouble to get that one, didn't you?" Because, yeah, it is a lot of work. A lot of different pieces have to... Oh, my husband and I, when we played that, oof, I cannot remember how many tries it took. Like 3 dozen, maybe? Yes. Every time we would forget something or mess something up, or yeah, it was very frustrating. So it definitely made us feel accomplished when we finally got it. Okay, I'm going to draw this one across the back since it's a bright color and it's different colors here, so I'm not going to pin stitch it there. Okay. Okay, so I'm thinking I'm probably going to set all of these aside at this point. I won't bother taking the needles off yet, although I might later. We'll just sort of see. But for now, I can just sort of set them aside. That one was too short, so I'm going to unthread it. Yeah, for now, I'm going to set them aside, and I'll come back to those later. For now, we're going to carry on down this diagonal here. And it's a little bit wider further down because I didn't completely fill in that last diagonal before I came back to the top. That's just, the colors happen to work better that way. So my diagonal is more horizontal than vertical this time. And sometimes I end up more steeper and more vertical. Just, again, depends on the colors, which way they flow. Well, in the end, eventually it looks all the same. Goodness, we're stuck on one of the grid lines there, I think. Yeah, this is tangled up a bit. Okay, let's see if I can get that to come out or not. Which one was I trying to get? This one. There we go. There we go. Okay. All that just so I could do this one stitch here. Ooh. And then, yeah, I'm gonna set this aside over the line. So park that there. I'm going to do 4 stitches with this one, as I believe it is still threaded. Yes, so might as well before I park that and set that one aside too. Right. Yeah, I can see we're going to end up more browns, but that's more over here, so probably won't get to that today. Okay, and set those aside. Another one here, so starting to thin out the number of threaded needles I have here. Oh, oh dear, there's a knot back there. Okay, I'm gonna have to figure out which thread that was from now. I think it was from this one. Oh, I hate when that happens. Let's see. Okay, could be this other color here. Darn. Let's see. Yeah, there's a nice loop there. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to undo it or not. Okay, so what I do sometimes when this happens, so I do a similar thing to what I do when there's a loose loop on the front. I get a scrap piece of thread. Oops. And I thread it sort of through the loop and then secure it on the back so it holds that loop down flat against the fabric on the back. Because yeah, it's got a knot and then a loop, and I can't undo it. I don't want to pull it any harder than I already tried, because I could distort my stitching. So instead, I'm going to secure this loop on the back. So put my thread through it. Right, not doubled. I doubled up my thread because I'm so used to doing loop starts, but that's not what I'm doing here. So go through my loop back here, and then put both those ends through the needles if I'm doing a loop start, and then I'm going to draw it across the stitches on the back. And that will draw the loop through them too until it's secured. So there we go. Let's see if you can cooperate fully. No, you are being a bear, aren't you? Okay, let's try that again. Kind of frustrating, but I really don't want to cut that thread apart to undo that loop because I'd have to pick back quite a bit. And I found that this way I can get it to lie flat against the fabric and it won't cause me a problem. It doesn't make a huge lump. Yeah. And then that just secures it nicely. There. There. Now it's lying nice and flat along the back there and secured. So the knot won't come undone later. Sometimes I had that happen. I couldn't pull the knot out myself, but then later it like loosened somehow and then ended up with a sloppy loose stitch on the front. Ugh. So yeah, things don't always go according to plan, so sometimes you got to adjust. So there, that fixed it. It's now lying nice and flat along the back there. Yeah, the problem was I think that that loose loop and knot was stitched into by other threads, and that's why I couldn't undo it. And I really didn't want to pick all this stuff out, so I improvise. Okay. I may actually leave this one threaded and do it because I can see that later I'm going to do these stitches fairly soon, and then I can do these stitches sort of hugging around it and then end off my thread, or that or either, or park it up higher. So I'm going to go past the diagonal line a bit because it just kind of makes sense to do that. So oh, my back was not a fan of all that bending over, I have to say. So since you couldn't really see what I was doing on the back there, I do have a tutorial video. It's a really short one, just a minute or so, called how to fix a loose stitch without ripping it out, where I show that technique where I did it from the front. I'll try to remember to put a link for it in the description and the comments there so you can see what I'm talking about from the front. And it's yeah, oops, a nice sort of little fix I discovered when you really don't want to rip back, but you want to fix the loose loop that's left behind that you can't seem to tighten up no matter what you pull on the back. Usually I catch knots like that sooner because with my hand underneath, I'm touching the underside, and so I can usually feel if there's a knot or a snarl or a loop that isn't supposed to be there. I usually catch it right away, but you know, sometimes, yeah, you don't. Yeah, I had one, I didn't catch it, and it was a really big loop that then got stitched into by other threads, and it was such a big snarl and a lump on the back that, yeah, I ended up having to cut that color out and pick it out, and oh, it was like an hour to fix. It was such a pain. Of course, halfway through I was saying to myself, oh, you should have just left it, but at that point I was committed, so. But in the end, it finally did get fixed, and I was glad I'd done it, because it would have bothered me forever to have a lump there. Okay, so I'm going to do these stitches like I said. And then do that number 1. And then I can tie off or park that thread. And then we're going to head over to the left again and start working our way out again, as per usual. No, I think, yeah, this is long enough that I will park it up over to the right rather than tying it off. Okay, so back over to the left. Start filling in again. Well, I said we wouldn't get to the browns and grays today, but I guess there is a bit here. Getting into his body here. And it's a little less in shadow, probably because he's pretty round. Yeah, he's like a ball shape. That's why he can roll around. There we go. I say that, but there's going to be more purple over here again for a bit, I think. There we are. Okay. Okay, I think this will be enough for these these 2 stitches at the top of this run here, and then yeah, that's all I'm going to get out of it. Remember now, this color, yeah, I believe this thread's going to travel upwards, yeah, along this edge here. So, like I said, I definitely don't work row by row, just sort of travel around following the colors. End coming through there. Didn't look quite right. Okay. 38, 35. And my fridge is being very loud today. That might be my water machine. Yeah, actually, I think that's the water machine. It's coming from that direction. It's usually not that loud, or at least I don't notice it. Yeah, my old fridge sucked. It, when the motor kicked on, it made everything vibrate, and it sounded like a fairy engine or something. I hated it, but I was also too cheap to buy a new one for as long as it still worked, so. We only finally got a new one when it started dying and wouldn't keep the food cold. Then that was when it was time for it to go. Yeah, I made sure my husband picked one out, and I made sure he got one with a smooth finish. Our old one had this like crackle surface, and I absolutely hated it because the little grooves, you know, would catch every little bit of dust and dirt, and then it would take so much scrubbing to get it clean. And I just said, who designed it with grooves, you know, to catch dirt? That's just silly. So yeah, I made sure he picked one out that's nice and smooth and much easier to just wipe clean. Don't have to scrub and scrub at it, because that's just a big paint. Okay, let's see now what we're gonna do. Yeah, just kind of traveling all over the place. Yeah, I really liked when we replaced our windows, the trim they put around them. It looks like wood, but it's actually smooth plastic, so it's a breeze to clean. Just wipes clean easily. Because yeah, I said I always curse our doors because yeah, even painted, the grain of the wood just, yeah, it traps everything, and you can't scrub it too hard or the paint's gonna come off. It's just, ugh. Yeah, I hate that. So I prefer things that are smooth and easy to clean. The older I get, the more important that is. Okay. Ooh, pardon me. My goodness. Yeah, this is a very popular color. It's used a lot in like all of my patterns, pretty much. Yeah, I bought a few boxes of 12 of this color because yeah, there's a lot of it. A lot of it in my firefly piece, but also in other pieces as well. So yeah, really popular color. But it wasn't enough that I bothered seeking out a cone for it. Yeah, I only bought cone for $3.10 and $3.799. Okay, I think I see I'm gonna be attaching a few new threads in this area for like the base of his necklace, I think. 37.50. that one was too short to leave threaded, so I just unthreaded it. Only 35 stitches left of that. Yeah, we're coming to the end. Some more confetti here before we get to the bigger blocks. $38.07. Oh yeah, we're getting close. Only 4 more left of those, but let's see where they are. Oh yeah. They are all the way at the other end. Yeah, I kind of thought that would be just my luck. So no 0 today for that color. Okay, let me see. This one parked way over here. Yeah, it's long, so I'm probably going to carry it. So in that case, I'm going to do more lower down, and I'll come back and get to that one when I start the next sort of diagonal strip. So of course, I could also just decide to use a small piece there. It's a fairly long carry, so I might do that actually. So let me take a look here. It's 38.42. Let's see what we've got in our envelope. It's 43. There's 42. Oh yeah, you know what? I have a nice short piece for that single stitch, so instead of trying to make it work by carrying the one that's further up, I am just going to do it. Yeah, that's exactly why I save these little pieces. They are often useful later. carrying from that other parked one was what I planned originally, but sometimes plans change. Yeah. Sometimes as I stitch, I realize there's a better way to do it, or just a different way that happens to work, so. Okay, well, if I stitch these two before I park, that'll give me 195. I think that is where I'm going to take a break. There. So yeah, 195. I think that's where I'm going to call it a day for now. So as usual, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.